boys and girls, we have a fun little project for you to work on over spring break. It's called Chillin' with My Peeps. Now, we all know what these little guys are, right? This is the time of year when we see them popping up, and it kind of reminds us that spring is here. So today, we're going to work on making a nice little decorative box to put our peep in. So the first thing that you need to do is take one of your peeps out of your pack. And I need to use some math skills to take some measurements of my peep so I can design my box using the right measurements. So first we have to decide on what unit we're going to use. I have my ruler here, and on one side of my ruler is inches. On the other side of my ruler is centimeters. So I look at my peep and I say, well, if I use inches, inches might be too big a unit because then I would have to use a lot of fractions. And I kind of want to stay away from fractions for this project anyway. So I'm going to use my centimeter side. Now, because we're designing a box is a three-dimensional figure, we need three different measurements. So the first measurement we need is the length of our peep. So when I measure my peep over here, my peep is almost 6 centimeters. So I'm going to put on my sheet over here, you should have this sheet in your assignment. The length of my peep is 6 centimeters. The next measurement that I'm going to get is how wide is my peep. So that's my peep across the front here. And when I do that measurement, I get just about 3 centimeters. So I'm going to write my 3 centimeters down. And then the last measurement that I need on my peep is actually the height of my peep. Okay, so when I measure the height of my peep, and I want to measure to the tallest part, I get 4 centimeters. So now I have my 3 measurements, and I can start designing my three-dimensional box to keep my peep in. So I want to start first with some graph paper or some lined paper if you don't have graph paper. And we're going to draw a two-dimensional figure that's called a net to represent our three-dimensional figure that we're going to build out of that net. So the first measurement that I want is the measurement of the 2 measurements of the bottom of my peep. That's going to be my length measurement and my width measurement. Now I've added 2 centimeters to each of my measurements because I want my box to be a little bit bigger than my peep so he fits inside. So we're going to start measuring the bottom rectangle right in the center of our paper. And I said the bottom rectangle because we said our rectangular prism has 6 sides and each side is a rectangle. So I went ahead and I sketched all of my parts on my graph paper. You see the bottom, my bottom is the length and the width. Then my 2 sides, the sides are my length and my height. And then my front and my back, those measurements are my width and my height. So I sketched 5 of my sides together, and I didn't have enough room to continue my top up here. So I put my top over to the corner over here, and my top, I added just a little bit more length to it so that I have a little flap to fold over. So once I have sketched out my template, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that out. Here is my template. I also have the top part that I cut out, and this is what I'm going to use for my pattern. Now, on my pattern, I'm going to use some nice cardstock. I have a nice lime green here that I'm going to use, and all I have to do is trace my pattern that I cut out from my graph paper onto my cardstock, or if you're using construction paper, you can trace it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut this out just like we did the pattern. So we're going to cut out our final project, and then all we're going to do is fold up our 4 flaps, and then we're going to fasten our top on to the top of the box so that you have a box that looks like this. So you notice I have 6 sides, and I went ahead and decorated my box for my little Peep to live in. And here, remember I said I added a little bit to the top so that I can just tuck that in there so my Peep has a nice little house to live in. And I'm just going to put my Peep in there. And you see he fits quite nicely, has plenty of room. And I have a nice spring decorative box for my Peep. Now, I did this with a Peep. You could do this for any little trinket that you have. Maybe you have a special little Lego that you'd like a little decorative box for. So any little treasure box, anything that you would like a little treasure box for, you can use this pattern for. Now, the last thing we're asking you to do is some calculations, because this is a math project. We want you to calculate the surface area of the box that you just made. So what's the surface area? Well, we know area is length times width. You have 6 sides to our rectangular prism. You're going to take the length and the width and calculate the area of each of the 6 sides. You're going to put that on your sheet. And then to get the total surface area of your box, you're going to add all of those 6 areas together. That gives you surface area. Now, some of you in 5th grade are also learning about volume. You could calculate the volume of your box by multiplying the length times the width times the height of the measurements that you use to make your box. I hope you have fun with this project, and we would love for you to take a picture of your project and post it on our Google Slide.